Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe today felt long, or heavy, or just full in that quiet, tiring way that doesn't always have a name. Or maybe you're someone who enjoys falling asleep to gentle thoughts about the world, letting your mind wander while your body slowly rests. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be. Tonight, you don't have to do anything at all. There's nothing to solve, nowhere to arrive, and nothing you'll be asked to remember. You can let the day loosen its grip. Let your shoulders sink. Let your breathing slow, soft, and steady, as if the air itself is breathing with you. Imagine gravity growing kinder, lighter, as though the atmosphere has decided to carry a little more of your weight. Because tonight, we're spending some quiet time with the weather. Not the loud, dramatic kind that demands attention, but the gentle, everyday weather that's almost always there, surrounding us without asking anything in return. The slow drift of clouds, the patient movement of air, the way light fades and returns. These are rhythms that have been happening for far longer than we've been listening, long before anyone named them or tried to measure them. Weather can sometimes seem unpredictable, but beneath that surface is a deep sense of patience. Patterns that repeat, cycles that take their time. The atmosphere doesn't rush. It moves the way breath moves when you're finally ready to rest, in and out, over and over, without effort. Tonight, you can let your own breathing fall into that same rhythm, unforced and easy. As you listen, you don't need to hold on to every fact or follow every sentence. Some ideas may drift past you like clouds at dusk, soft-edged and slow. Others may settle for a moment, like raindrops on a window, before sliding away. However your attention moves is perfectly fine. Even half listening is more than enough. If it helps, you might imagine the sky as a blanket being gently pulled over the world. A wide, calm cover that rests on rooftops, fields, oceans, and quiet streets alike. The same sky above you is above everyone, everywhere, doing its quiet work. You're allowed to rest beneath it. If you find comfort in these moments and would like to return again, you're always welcome here. And if you'd like to gently support the channel, a like or subscription is a quiet way of saying thank you. Never required, always appreciated. But for now, the only invitation is to rest. So settle in. Let the room grow dimmer behind your closed eyes. Let the sounds around you soften. And as we begin, we'll narrow our focus from the vast sky to something small and simple. Perhaps a single cloud or a barely noticeable breeze, and allow the night to unfold from there. Even the busiest weather is rarely in a hurry. When we hear about storms arriving or systems moving in, it can feel sudden, almost urgent. But far above our heads, the atmosphere is usually moving at a patient, unbothered pace. Large weather systems drift slowly, sometimes taking days or even weeks to travel across continents and oceans. They behave less like racing cars and more like vast rivers of air sliding along invisible paths. From the ground, we only notice their arrival, not the long, quiet journey that brought them here. The sky doesn't rush. It has time. And in that slowness, there's a gentle reminder that not everything needs to move quickly to arrive where it's going. Above you, the air takes its time, and it also arranges itself carefully. The atmosphere isn't just one open space, even when it looks empty and clear. It's layered, stacked softly like thin, invisible blankets. Each layer has its own temperature, its own subtle motion, resting on the one below it. Warm air tends to rise, cooler air settles, and together they form a kind of quiet structure overhead. These layers help hold the world in place, creating a sense of containment and balance. The sky isn't a void, it's a gently organized space, cradling everything beneath it without effort or sound. Within those layers, clouds find their place. Clouds don't rush off. They linger. They aren't floating away aimlessly, nor are they falling straight down. Instead, they're suspended, held in a careful balance between gravity, pulling them earthward, and air currents lifting them up. Like feathers resting on a slow, steady breath, clouds remain where conditions allow them to be supported. They stay because the air holds them. There's no strain in this balance, no tension. It's simply a quiet agreement between forces, a reminder that sometimes staying aloft doesn't require effort, only the right conditions. And when clouds do decide to let go, rain often arrives more gently than we notice. Most rain doesn't fall in heavy drops or loud splashes. Many raindrops are tiny, drifting down slowly, especially in mist or light showers. They tap leaves and rooftops like whispered footsteps, easy to miss unless you're listening closely. Not all rain announces itself. Much of it nourishes the ground quietly, soaking into soil, feeding roots, and darkening stone without drama. It's patience in liquid form, reminding the world that steady, quiet contributions often matter the most. After touching the earth, water begins another slow chapter of its journey. Evaporation is rarely sudden. Water doesn't rush back into the sky all at once. Instead, it returns gradually, molecule by molecule, warmed by sunlight or ambient air. You can imagine it as a soft sigh, water loosening its grip and rising invisibly, leaving no trace of motion behind. The sky borrows water gently, without pulling or force. This invisible ascent happens constantly, everywhere, whether we notice it or not. Letting go, in nature, is usually unhurried. All of this movement, air drifting, clouds lingering, rain falling, water rising, unfolds alongside temperature changes that are usually just as gradual. The world cools and warms in whispers. Most shifts happen slowly enough for plants, animals, and even our own bodies to adapt without alarm. Warmth fades like candlelight at bedtime, dimming rather than snapping off. Temperature prefers patience. And as the air cools or warms around you tonight, you're invited to slow with it, letting your body follow the same gentle rhythm the atmosphere has been keeping all along. Wind is air trying to balance itself. When we feel a breeze on our skin or hear wind moving through trees, we're sensing air gently redistributing its energy. Air naturally moves from places where it's heavier or under higher pressure toward places where it's lighter. This movement doesn't need force or intention. It's more like a slow exhale, the atmosphere stretching and easing its weight from one place to another. Sometimes the sky just needs to stretch, and in doing so, it creates motion that feels refreshing, cooling, or softly present, never hurried, never demanding. As that moving air travels, the Earth quietly guides it. Our planet's slow rotation gently curves the paths of winds over long distances. This guidance isn't abrupt or noticeable from moment to moment. Instead, it's like a slow dance led by an unseen hand. Even the wind follows Earth's rhythm, bending gradually as it moves across oceans and continents. The planet doesn't push or pull sharply. It simply turns, and the air responds over time. There's comfort in knowing that so much motion is shaped by something steady and reliable beneath it. Some winds are so reliable that they've been breathing the same patterns for centuries. Trade winds, for example, return again and again along familiar paths, year after year. Some winds never forget their way. They move like ancient breathing patterns of the planet itself, steady and predictable. Long before modern instruments, sailors learned to trust these winds, knowing they would arrive as expected. There's a quiet reassurance in repetition like this, the sense that the earth remembers how to breathe and continues doing so without interruption. These repeating winds play a role in something we all know well, the changing of seasons. Seasons arrive more quietly than we often realize. While calendars flip and temperatures seem to shift suddenly, the truth is that seasonal change happens little by little, day by day. It's like a dimmer switch slowly turning the year. The light changes its angle, the air adjusts its habits, and the world gradually leans toward warmth or coolness. The year changes its mind slowly, giving everything time to follow along without shock. Sunlight is a large part of what shapes these changes, and it doesn't warm the earth evenly. Light touches the planet in patterns, not all at once. Some places receive more direct sunlight, others less, creating gentle contrasts in temperature. From above, the earth might look like a patchwork quilt of warmth and coolness, stitched together by light. This uneven heating isn't a flaw. It's what sets the air in motion, encouraging winds to move and clouds to form. Difference here becomes the source of balance. And often, clouds appear right at these places of difference. Clouds commonly form where warm air and cool air meet at gentle boundaries in the sky. You might think of them as meeting places where air masses have quiet conversations. The sky marks these moments softly, tracing invisible lines with visible shapes. There's beauty at these transitions, where one condition slowly gives way to another. Nothing collides, nothing rushes. The atmosphere simply adjusts, preparing itself for another calm phase in its endless rhythm. Even on the calmest days, the sky is never truly still. What looks like perfect quiet overhead is full of subtle motion, air rising just a little, sinking just a little, drifting almost imperceptibly. Stillness is full of movement. The atmosphere is like a sleeping animal, resting deeply but continuing to breathe. This quiet motion is what allows the sky to remain balanced, distributing warmth and moisture without calling attention to itself. Rest in nature doesn't mean absence. It simply means softness. As part of that softness, air pressure changes are usually gentle. Pressure rises and falls slowly across wide areas, more like a soft hand pressing and releasing than anything abrupt. The air rarely presses too hard. Most of the time, these shifts are so gradual, we don't notice them at all. Pressure prefers subtlety, and just like a slow exhale releases tension in the body, these gradual changes help the atmosphere relax back toward balance again and again. When scientists draw weather maps, they're really tracing these slow movements. Weather charts don't show sudden events so much as unfolding stories. Lines curve and stretch across regions, describing how air is behaving over time. The sky writes slowly. These maps remind us that weather isn't a collection of isolated moments, but a continuous flow. When you step back and look at the whole picture, patterns emerge, calm, predictable, and far less urgent than daily forecasts might suggest. Forecasts themselves are never commands. They're quiet guesses, built on probability rather than certainty. The future is spoken softly. When meteorologists talk about chances and likelihoods, they're acknowledging the atmosphere's complexity without demanding control over it. There's comfort in this uncertainty. Nothing is fixed too far ahead, and nothing requires immediate response. The sky will do what it does, whether we watch closely or drift into sleep. As evening arrives, nights often cool the world evenly. After sunset, heat that built up during the day slowly radiates back into space. The earth breathes out at night, releasing warmth in a steady, patient way. Darkness cools gently. This cooling helps settle the air, smoothing out the motion that sunlight stirred earlier. The world doesn't shut down. It simply lowers its energy, preparing for rest. In those quiet hours, dew begins to form. When air cools enough, moisture settles softly onto grass, leaves, and rooftops. Dew is the night's handwriting, tiny, shining notes left behind by stillness. Morning finds what night leaves behind, small gifts that appear without sound or effort. Dew doesn't rush to arrive, and it doesn't linger loudly. It simply rests where conditions allow, completing another calm cycle before the day begins again. Before we move on, let this be a pause between thoughts, a slow, easy breath. The sky has been doing this for a long time. Air drifting, clouds forming, warmth fading, moisture returning. Nothing new needs to be learned right now. Weather moves in cycles, dependable and unbothered by clocks or plans. You can imagine the sky turning pages at its own pace, each one familiar, each one calm. The atmosphere hums like a long, gentle song, repeating itself without rushing. If your attention drifts, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to follow every word. You can simply float, letting the ideas pass through like air moving in slow circles. And as we continue, we'll narrow our focus again, from the wide sky down to one quiet detail. Sometimes clouds come to visit. Fog is what happens when cloud-like conditions form close to the ground, allowing the sky to bend down and touch the earth. Instead of drifting far above, tiny droplets of water remain suspended near the surface, wrapping landscapes in softness. Fog is a cloud taking a walk, moving slowly through valleys, streets, and fields. It brings the atmosphere closer, making weather feel intimate and near. There's no distance in fog, only closeness. The world feels smaller, quieter, as though the sky has leaned in gently to observe without disturbing anything. When fog settles in, it often hushes the world. Moist air scatters sound waves, softening edges and reducing echoes. Sounds feel wrapped in cotton, muted and distant. Footsteps fade more quickly. Voices don't travel as far. Sound moves slower in softness. Quiet becomes something you can almost feel, like a physical presence resting in the air. This gentle dampening reminds us that silence doesn't always mean emptiness. Sometimes it means the atmosphere is holding everything a little closer. Most of the time, the sky spends its energy resting. Calm weather is far more common than storms, even if dramatic moments tend to capture more attention. Long stretches of steady breathing fill the atmosphere's days. Gentle winds, stable temperatures, slow-moving clouds. Storms are the exception, not the rule. The sky prefers balance. This quiet stability is what allows life to settle into routines, trusting that tomorrow will likely resemble today in familiar, manageable ways. When storms do appear, they usually take their time. Even intense weather often begins slowly, building over hours or days. Energy gathers gradually, like tension winding rather than snapping. Even storms take their time. Clouds grow taller. Air becomes more unstable. Nothing happens all at once. This slow development is a reminder that dramatic moments often have gentle beginnings, long before anything feels urgent. And just as storms grow patiently, they also fade that way. No storm holds its breath forever. As energy redistributes, systems weaken, winds slow, and rain tapers off. The sky knows how to rest again. After effort comes release, a deep atmospheric sigh. The air settles back into balance, leaving behind quieter conditions and softened light. After rain passes, the air often feels fresher. Rain can wash dust and tiny particles from the atmosphere, leaving behind clarity. It's as if the world has been gently rinsed. The sky washes itself without instruction or effort. Breathing feels easier. Light seems sharper. Renewal arrives quietly, preparing the atmosphere to continue its slow, steady patterns once more. Nothing in the sky is ever wasted. Air, moisture, and heat are constantly being reused, recycled through calm, looping pathways that have no clear beginning or end. What rises will eventually settle. What cools will warm again. The atmosphere remembers how to reuse everything it's given, passing energy gently from place to place. Rain becomes vapor. Vapor becomes cloud. Cloud becomes rain again. Wind redistributes warmth, and warmth stirs the air. This endless recycling isn't hurried or forced. It's simply the sky doing what it has always done, offering quiet reassurance that nothing is lost, only transformed. When we zoom out even further, we begin to talk about climate, which is really just weather taking its time. Climate isn't about today's clouds or tonight's breeze. It's a slow memory built from many days, months, and years. Climate is weather remembering itself. Over long stretches of time, daily ups and downs soften into patterns. Extremes blur into averages. Time smooths sharp edges. Understanding climate doesn't require close attention to every moment, only patience and a willingness to let patterns reveal themselves gradually. One of those long-term patterns comes from something very simple: the Earth's gentle tilt. Seasons aren't caused by how close or far we are from the sun, but by the way our planet leans as it travels through space. You can imagine Earth like a lantern tipped slowly back and forth, changing how light falls across its surface. The planet leans into its year. This quiet angle shapes seasons, guiding warmth and coolness across months. Small shifts create big feelings, longer days, shorter nights, without ever needing sudden change. Because of that tilt, daylight itself changes slowly. The length of a day doesn't leap forward or backward. It stretches and shrinks by minutes, almost imperceptibly. The sun adjusts its schedule gently. Light never rushes. One evening lingers a little longer than the last, or slips away a little sooner. These tiny adjustments add up over weeks, but each day feels familiar. Subtlety, here, is more powerful than spectacle. As daylight fades, twilight arrives as a gradual blending. Night doesn't arrive all at once. Instead, sunlight scatters through the atmosphere, dissolving colors into one another. Blues deepen, oranges soften, shadows stretch. Evening is a slow conversation between day and night, where neither interrupts the other. This gentle transition gives the world time to unwind, inviting everything, including you, to let go of the day without resistance. And once night settles in, the atmosphere often becomes more stable. Cooling reduces turbulence in the air, allowing motion to calm. The air rests at night. Darkness smooths movement, and the world feels quieter, steadier. There's a reason night feels safe for rest. The sky itself has slowed down, creating space for stillness to take over. The land quietly steers the sky. Mountains, valleys, and plains guide air upward and downward as it moves across the earth. You might imagine air flowing around sleeping giants, lifting gently over peaks and settling again on the other side. Mountains whisper to the wind, shaping clouds and directing rain without sound. This cooperation between earth and air happens constantly, unseen, reminding us that weather doesn't act alone. It responds to the shape of the world beneath it, adjusting its path with patience. Because of this guidance, some places naturally receive less rain. As air rises over mountains, it cools and releases moisture, leaving clouds lighter on the far side. Rain chooses its resting places. By the time air descends again, much of its water has already fallen, creating drier regions known as rain shadows. Not all skies carry the same gifts, and that difference isn't a mistake. It's simply how balance spreads itself across the land. Even in dry air, water is often still present. Humidity is water waiting in the air, invisible and quiet. Warm air can hold moisture without showing it, carrying tiny amounts of water from place to place. The air can carry water quietly. Moisture waits patiently, suspended and unseen, until conditions invite it to settle. Fullness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's hidden, present without display. When that moisture does settle, condensation happens without sound. Water vapor turns back into liquid silently, forming droplets on cool surfaces or gathering into clouds. Some changes make no noise at all. Dew appears like a secret, beads of water forming without motion or warning. Water settles without announcing itself, completing another gentle transition in the atmosphere's steady cycle. In colder conditions, those droplets can become snow, and snow often falls slowly. Snow takes its time, drifting downward as delicate crystals shaped to catch the air. Feathers drifting through lamplight is a fitting image. Winter falls softly, allowing the world to quiet beneath it. There's no rush in snowfall, only patience and calm descent. Once snow settles, it can even offer warmth. Snow traps heat close to the ground, acting like a blanket. Cold can be protective. Winter knows how to cover the earth, tucking soil and roots in for the season. Comfort sometimes arrives in unexpected forms, reminding us that even the coldest moments can carry gentleness within them. At this point, you don't need to keep track of where we are. The rhythm is already familiar, like a song you've heard many times before. Forecast maps can soften now, dissolving into watercolor, their sharp lines fading gently into clouds. Numbers lose their meaning and drift away. Uncertainty becomes something calm and natural, not something that needs solving. The future doesn't need your attention tonight. It's already wrapped in fog, not urgency. The sky will keep moving whether you're watching or sleeping, steady and patient as always. You can let tomorrow rest where it is. And as we continue, we'll return to something small and simple, perhaps a single snowflake or a quiet drop of water, and let the night carry us forward. Snow starts very small. Even winter begins quietly. Every snowflake begins as a tiny ice crystal, no larger than a speck of dust, forming high in the cold air of a cloud. Around this small beginning, water vapor gathers slowly, attaching itself molecule by molecule. There's no rush in this process. Growth happens gently, shaped by temperature, moisture, and time. Snowflakes don't arrive fully formed, they unfold. This quiet beginning reminds us that even the most beautiful structures often start with something almost invisible, given enough patience to grow. As those tiny crystals travel through the cloud, each one follows a slightly different path. No two falls are the same. Variations in air temperature and humidity shape every snowflake into a unique pattern. The air leaves its signature on each one, carving delicate branches and symmetry without intention or planning. These differences aren't designed, they simply happen. Individuality here emerges naturally, without effort or attention. Snow doesn't try to be unique. It just responds to where it's been. When snow settles, and temperatures remain cold, water takes on another quiet property. Ice expands as it freezes. Cold makes room. Unlike most materials, water spreads out when it becomes solid, stretching quietly as it locks into place. Stillness takes up more space. This expansion is gentle, but powerful enough to shape landscapes over time, widening cracks in rock and soil. Even in rest, change continues, slow, steady, and persistent. On lakes and ponds, ice forms a clear lid over the surface. Still water stays protected beneath it. Ice slows the loss of heat from the water below, creating a stable layer that insulates what lies underneath. Fish and plants continue their quiet lives beneath the frozen surface, sheltered by stillness. Ice guards what rests below, not with strength, but with calm. Protection doesn't always look active. Sometimes it looks like rest. When temperatures begin to rise, thawing is rarely sudden. Warmth returns gently. Ice melts slowly, loosening its grip one small drop at a time. Cold knows when to let go. There's no sharp ending, no instant shift. Winter fades gradually, allowing the world to adjust without shock. Endings, in nature, are often soft transitions rather than clear lines. As snow melts, it offers steady support to the land below. Snowmelt feeds rivers calmly, sending water downhill in a slow, patient flow. Mountains release water slowly, spreading nourishment across valleys and plains over weeks and months. Rivers are fed patiently, carrying this gift forward. Support arrives over time, not all at once, sustaining life quietly as it moves on toward the next cycle. One sky connects many places. Large weather systems don't belong to a single town or country. They can stretch across oceans and continents, moving slowly over thousands of kilometers. Weather ignores lines on maps. A single system may bring clouds to one region, rain to another, and clear skies somewhere else. All is part of the same gentle motion. It's like one long breath crossing borders, shared by millions of people, without anyone needing to coordinate it. Beneath that vast scale, there's something calming, the reminder that we all rest under the same moving atmosphere, connected by air that doesn't recognize distance the way we do. High above those broad systems, fast winds travel quietly. Jet streams are strong rivers of air flowing far overhead, near the top of the atmosphere where everyday weather never reaches. Fast winds live far away. Above the noise of surface weather, air races quietly, shaping storms and guiding systems without disturbing the ground below. Their speed doesn't bring chaos. It brings structure. Even powerful motion can exist at a distance, doing important work without demanding attention. Closer to the surface, weather becomes more personal. Most of what we experience day to day happens in the lowest layer of the atmosphere, where the sky meets the ground. Weather stays close to home. This is where clouds pass overhead, breezes brush against skin, and temperatures shift gently through the day. The sky works near the surface, interacting constantly with trees, buildings, water, and people. There's intimacy here, weather woven into daily life, present but rarely overwhelming. This near-surface air is always responding to time. The boundary layer changes, hour by hour, warming with sunlight and cooling after dark. The air feels the clock. Time touches the lowest sky gently, guiding small changes that repeat every day. Mornings feel different from afternoons. Evenings soften. Nights settle. These shifts don't demand awareness. They happen whether we notice or not, forming a quiet rhythm that life easily adapts to. Along coastlines, that rhythm creates familiar breezes. In the afternoon, land warms faster than water, and cooler air from the sea begins to move inland. The sea breathes inland, sharing its coolness with the shore. This movement is generous, offering relief from heat without force. Water shares what it has, and the air carries it gently. When night arrives, the pattern reverses. Land cools more quickly than the sea, and air begins to drift back toward the water. Night reverses the wind. The land exhales after sunset, returning the breath it borrowed earlier. Balance restores itself naturally, completing another quiet cycle and preparing the atmosphere for rest. Clouds come in families. The sky organizes itself into familiar shapes that form under different conditions, gathering at different heights, like relatives meeting across generations. Some clouds stay low and wide, others rise tall and thin, and still others drift high above, barely noticeable. This order isn't planned or managed. It emerges naturally. The atmosphere sorts itself gently, arranging moisture and air into patterns that repeat again and again, comforting in their familiarity. High above the ground, some clouds are already frozen. Thin, wispy clouds form from tiny ice crystals rather than liquid droplets. Ice floats in sunlight, catching light and stretching into long, delicate streaks across the sky. These clouds don't bring rain. They simply pass overhead, offering quiet beauty. Cold doesn't always mean harshness. Sometimes it creates the softest scenes. When light passes through those ice crystals, something subtle can happen. Halos appear around the sun or moon, rings of light formed as crystals bend and scatter brightness. Light makes circles in the cold. The sky wears jewelry sometimes, briefly and without announcement. These moments don't ask to be studied or explained. They exist simply to be noticed or missed, without consequence. Not all beauty needs drama. Weather can be beautiful without storms or spectacle. Pale colors, slow-moving clouds, and gentle light often create the most calming scenes. Calm skies still shine. Subtlety has its own richness, offering peace rather than excitement. The atmosphere doesn't need intensity to be complete. Spending a moment with that quiet beauty can feel soothing. Watching the sky, even casually, may slow breathing, helping the body match the unhurried movement overhead. The sky teaches patience. Looking up can slow you down, inviting your breath to drift like clouds do without effort or instruction. There's no technique here, only gentle mirroring, and in the end, everyday weather is enough. Ordinary days sustain life, guide routines, and create rhythm. The usual sky is doing its job. Ordinary days are complete. The familiar heartbeat overhead continues, steady and reliable, reminding us that nothing extra is required for balance to exist. You don't need to carry the thoughts anymore. You can let them drift upward, the way warm air rises without effort. Imagine the sky taking them gently, holding them for you. Clouds can keep what's unfinished. The atmosphere has plenty of space. If you miss a fact or lose track of a sentence, nothing is lost. Weather works perfectly well without being watched, and so do you. The same patterns repeat again and again, steady and safe. Right now, you can rest inside that repetition. Feel the air against your skin. Notice how it's already there, already supporting you. And from this quiet place, we'll continue. The air is already holding you. Atmospheric pressure surrounds your body at all times, pressing gently and evenly from every direction. You don't feel it because it's always been there, a soft, invisible hug from the sky itself. You're always supported by the atmosphere, carried without effort. This constant presence creates stability, keeping air where it belongs and allowing breath to flow easily. There's comfort in something so reliable that it fades into the background. Safety doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's simply steady, quiet, and dependable. Your body may notice small changes in that steady air. Humans can sometimes sense shifts in weather through subtle sensations. A feeling of heaviness, lightness, or restlessness. Your body listens quietly, tuning into signals without analysis. Change can be felt before it's seen. These sensations don't demand action. They're just gentle awareness, reminders that you're part of the atmosphere, not separate from it. Intuition doesn't need urgency to be useful. It can remain calm and passive, like background music. Animals often respond even earlier. Many creatures react to pressure changes, humidity, or temperature shifts long before storms or rain arrive. Animals hear the sky differently. Birds adjust their flight. Insects change their movement. And mammals alter routines. The world whispers before it speaks. This awareness isn't anxious. It's practical and quiet. Nature reads its own signals effortlessly, without worry or overthinking. Over longer periods, weather shapes entire ecosystems. Life listens to the sky, growing and adapting to repeated patterns of rain, sun, cold, and warmth. Weather writes the background against which plants root and animals move. These changes happen slowly, across seasons and generations. Adaptation isn't rushed. It's patient, unfolding in harmony with the rhythms overhead. The land and the air learn each other over time. The soil beneath your feet keeps its own kind of memory. The ground remembers rain, storing moisture and warmth long after clouds have passed. Weather leaves gentle traces, absorbed quietly into earth and stone. This memory doesn't think or plan. It simply exists, holding on to what came before and releasing it when needed. Memory without thought. Support without intention. And through all of this, balance returns again and again. The sky seeks equilibrium, redistributing energy until extremes soften. Like a pendulum slowing at its center, atmospheric systems settle naturally. Everything settles eventually. This is the deeper reassurance the weather offers, that no matter the motion, calm is always part of the cycle, waiting patiently to return. Surprise is rarer than rhythm. Weather patterns repeat more often than they shock us, following familiar arrangements that the atmosphere seems to prefer. The sky rereads its favorite stories, returning to similar setups of pressure, wind, and temperature again and again. While no 2 days are exactly alike, many feel gently familiar. There's comfort in knowing that the atmosphere likes familiar paths, choosing balance over novelty most of the time. This repetition creates a background sense of safety, a reminder that the world usually moves within well-worn grooves. People have always watched the sky. Long before satellites or screens, humans kept careful notes of clouds, rain, frost, and wind. The weather leaves a paper trail stretching back centuries. Old notebooks, ship logs, farm records, each one a quiet conversation between people and the atmosphere. Across generations, curiosity stayed the same. Someone looked up, noticed a pattern, and wrote it down. That shared attention links us gently to the past, reminding us that others rested under the same sky and wondered the same calm questions. When those many observations are gathered together, something soothing happens. Averages smooth out extremes. Rough waves of daily variation settle into a calm lake when viewed over time. Time smooths the weather. Patterns emerge when you wait long enough, revealing steadiness beneath fluctuation. This long view teaches patience. It shows that sharp moments are part of a larger, quieter whole, one that tends toward balance. Because of this smoothing, most days are close to normal. Ordinary days fill the calendar. Extremes do happen, but they are less frequent than the steady middle ground. Many similar beads thread the year together, creating continuity rather than disruption. Normal happens most often. There's safety in the usual, familiar temperatures, predictable light, gentle changes that don't require vigilance. And when change does arrive, it usually comes in small steps. The sky rarely jumps. Weather shifts incrementally, like a staircase made of shallow steps rather than sudden drops. Change prefers small movements, allowing bodies, plants, and places to adjust easily. There's no need to brace. Motion is measured, deliberate, and forgiving. Some of the sky's rhythms are even slower. Long cycles span years or decades, turning with the patient hands of a deep clock. Some rhythms are very patient. The sky keeps long time, offering perspective beyond daily worry. In these slow turns, urgency fades, replaced by the assurance that balance unfolds on its own schedule. The sea remembers warmth. Oceans store heat calmly, absorbing energy during warm periods and releasing it slowly over time. Water holds on to heat far longer than air or land, acting like a vast memory bank for the planet. This slow exchange buffers extremes, softening sharp temperature swings. The ocean doesn't rush to warm or cool. It waits, releasing what it has when the time is right, keeping the atmosphere steadier than it might otherwise be. Because of this steady presence, coastal areas often have milder weather. Water smooths the weather. The sea keeps things gentle, warming nearby air in cooler times and cooling it during heat. Life near the coast feels this moderation as kindness, fewer extremes, softer transitions, a calmer rhythm shaped by waves and tides that never hurry. Inland, the story is a little different. Land reacts quickly. Soil feels temperature immediately, heating up under sunlight and cooling rapidly after dark. Without nearby water to slow the process, inland areas experience sharper changes. This sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's simply responsiveness. The ground answers quickly to light and shadow, participating fully in the daily cycle. Because of that responsiveness, daily temperature swings are normal. Warm days and cool nights belong together, moving like a gentle pendulum. Temperature swings softly back and forth without instability. This rhythm is predictable and expected, a natural breathing pattern of the land. Nothing is going wrong when the air cools after sunset. It's simply completing the motion. Life listens carefully to these rhythms. Plants and animals adapt to local weather, tuning themselves to typical conditions over time. Adaptation happens quietly. Leaves grow thicker or thinner. Fur becomes denser or lighter. Behavior shifts subtly, matching the patterns overhead. Resilience doesn't require struggle. It emerges naturally through repetition. Humans do the same. Weather sets the tempo for daily life. When we wake, how we dress, when we gather or rest. People move with the sky, building routines around sunrise, rainfall, and seasons. This harmony doesn't need conscious effort. It grows from long familiarity, from living beneath the same patterns day after day and finding ease within them. By now, the rhythm should feel familiar, almost circular. The same ideas returning gently, like clouds following repeating paths across the sky. This repetition is intentional. It's meant to soothe, not inform. You don't need to hold on to anything anymore. Imagine a clock without numbers, time moving without being counted. Your breathing can slow, matching distant waves you don't need to see or hear. The world continues safely on its own, repeating what it knows how to do. You can let the voice fade into the background if you like. Just notice the air in the room, quiet, steady, and allow the night to carry you onward. Clear skies often come from calm pressure. When air sinks gently downward, it warms slightly and discourages clouds from forming. The sky presses softly, guiding moisture away without force. The air settles downward, creating wide, open stretches of blue or clear darkness at night. Stability brings calm. Nothing needs to rise or change quickly. In these moments, the atmosphere feels settled, grounded, and sure of itself, offering a sense of quiet order overhead. In contrast, low pressure invites air to rise. As air lifts upward, it cools and condenses, allowing clouds to form and rain to begin. Clouds rise with gentle lifting. Rain begins with ascent. There's release in this upward motion, a letting go that transforms invisible vapor into visible softness. Low pressure doesn't rush the process. It simply allows air to expand, cool, and share what it carries. Where these different air masses meet, weather fronts form. Air meets air at soft borders that drift slowly across the land. Boundaries don't clash sharply. They slide and overlap. Change happens through meeting, not collision. At these gentle edges, clouds often gather and precipitation begins, marking transition rather than disruption. Fronts are conversations, not confrontations. From these meetings, gentle rain can follow. Some rain has no hurry. Hours can pass in drizzle or steady light rain, marking time with quiet tapping. There's no drama in it, only duration. Rain continues as long as conditions allow, patient and unbothered. It doesn't need to impress. It simply falls. As rain reaches the ground, the soil receives it slowly. The ground drinks patiently, taking water in small sips rather than gulps. Moisture settles into the soil, nourishing roots and filling tiny spaces between grains of earth. Nourishment doesn't require speed. Absorption happens at its own pace, quiet and complete. Below the surface, water continues its journey. Groundwater moves quietly underground, flowing through soil and rock in hidden paths. These are rivers we never see, traveling in silence beneath our feet. Support happens unseen, sustaining wells, springs, and ecosystems over long stretches of time. Even when unnoticed, the movement continues, calm, steady, and reliable. Clouds know when to let go. As conditions shift, a little warmer air, a subtle change in humidity, clouds can thin, stretch, and quietly disappear. Some endings are invisible. One moment, a cloud is there, shaping the light, and the next, it has dissolved back into clear air without ceremony. Like thoughts fading when they're no longer needed, clouds release themselves without effort. Nothing breaks, nothing falls apart. They simply change form, reminding us that disappearance doesn't always mean loss. Sometimes, it's just a gentle return. And even when the sky looks empty, nothing is ever truly still. Blue skies are quietly alive, filled with moving air and circulating energy. Clear air is like still water that hides gentle currents beneath its surface. Calm is not the absence of motion, it's motion that has settled into balance. The atmosphere continues its slow work, redistributing warmth and pressure without drawing attention to itself. Even on the clearest day, the sky is quietly active, steady, and composed. That familiar blue above us comes from a soft interaction between light and air. Blue is light taking the long way. As sunlight enters the atmosphere, tiny air molecules scatter shorter wavelengths more easily, spreading blue light across the sky. The sky borrows its color from this gentle scattering, not from paint or pigment, but from motion and interaction. Beauty emerges not from force, but from light, brushing softly against matter. As the sun lowers, that interaction deepens. Sunsets slow the day gradually, stretching time as light travels farther through the atmosphere. The sun leaves slowly. Colors warm and soften, reds and golds lingering as blues fade. Evening stretches time, giving the world permission to unwind. Nothing ends abruptly. The day exhales into night, inviting everything beneath it to do the same. After sunset, the atmosphere begins to settle. Cooling reduces upward motion, and the sky lowers its voice. Night quiets the air. Darkness smooths movement, calming the small instabilities that daylight creates. This stillness isn't emptiness, it's restoration. The atmosphere finds a quieter arrangement, one that supports rest and renewal. Because of this, most nights are predictably calm. Darkness favors balance. While dramatic nighttime weather can happen, long stretches of steady darkness are far more common. Night is usually gentle. There's safety in this familiarity, in knowing that the world often chooses calm while we sleep, holding steady until morning returns. Moonlight travels gently. Like sunlight, it scatters through the atmosphere, but with far less intensity. The night glows quietly, lit by reflected light that feels more like a whisper than a statement. Moonlight softens edges, revealing shapes without demanding attention. It illuminates just enough, reminding us that light doesn't have to be bright to be present. As night deepens, the air often feels heavier. Cooling increases air density near the ground, allowing cooler air to settle like a blanket. The air rests lower at night. This gentle settling creates a feeling of groundedness, as though the atmosphere itself has decided to lie down. Cool air settles in, supporting stillness and making rest feel natural. In these conditions, still nights can feel especially quiet. Stable air limits how sound travels, allowing silence to stretch outward. Quiet spreads at night. The world pauses, not because everything has stopped, but because nothing is pushing to be heard. This quiet isn't empty. It's full of comfort, holding space for rest and sleep. Through all of this, the weather has no awareness of being watched. The sky doesn't perform. Atmospheric processes unfold without intention or concern, like a song playing whether anyone is listening or not. Weather simply continues. There's relief in this independence. Nothing depends on observation. Everything proceeds as it should. Even now, tomorrow's weather is already forming slowly. The future is already moving, stretching quietly through the dark hours. Morning is preparing itself without urgency, guided by patterns that don't need supervision. You don't have to imagine it or plan for it. It will arrive on its own. And because of that, you don't need to be awake for any of it. The sky stays awake for you. Winds will shift, temperatures will adjust, clouds will gather or fade, all without your attention. You can rest now, knowing the atmosphere is keeping watch, steady and patient, as it always has. You don't need to check on anything anymore. The sky is already standing watch, steady, like a lighthouse that never sleeps. Clouds drift quietly while houses rest. Streets are still. The atmosphere breathes through the night, in and out, the same way it always has. Nothing is changing that needs your attention. If sleep has already arrived, that's perfectly fine. If it's close, that's fine too. Everything is continuing just as it should. The night knows what to do. And as we move into the final stretch, we'll narrow our focus once more, down to one simple, steady truth. The sky has always been busy. Long before calendars, names, or memory itself, atmospheric processes were already unfolding. Weather stretches back beyond stories, beyond records, beyond anything we can recall. Weather remembers more than we do. Clouds formed, rain fell, winds moved, and temperatures shifted across a planet still learning its shape. This deep time is reassuring. It means nothing about tonight is new or fragile. The sky has done this countless times before, and it continues without effort. We share the same sky. Over time, the same air circulates around the planet, moving slowly from place to place, crossing oceans and continents. Air travels patiently. The breath you take tonight contains molecules that have been everywhere, above forests, deserts, cities, and seas. This quiet circulation connects everything gently, without announcement. Shared air becomes shared calm, reminding us that separation is often smaller than it seems. When differences appear, the atmosphere knows how to respond. The sky knows how to settle. Energy imbalances tend to smooth themselves out as air moves, heat redistributes, and pressure evens. Like wrinkles slowly relaxing from fabric, balance returns on its own. Nothing needs correction or urgency. Self-repair is built into the system, steady and reliable. Much of this adjustment happens so slowly we never notice it. Big things move quietly. Large-scale atmospheric changes unfold over hours, days, or longer, like the hour hand of a clock moving while we sleep. Change happens between blinks. There's no need for sudden shifts. Motion doesn't require attention to be effective. It's this gentle weather that sustains everyday life. Calm weather does most of the work, supporting ecosystems, routines, and quiet growth. Gentleness sustains life. The steady majority matters more than rare extremes, even if it goes unnoticed. A steady heartbeat overhead keeps everything moving forward, and because of that, the night sky rarely demands attention. Most nights are uneventful. Darkness flows smoothly until morning. The dark is usually kind. You're allowed to disengage fully, knowing nothing is waiting on you, nothing is unfinished, and the sky will continue its watch until the day returns. Morning prepares while you sleep. Long before the sky begins to brighten, the atmosphere is already arranging the day ahead. Temperatures shift quietly. Winds adjust their direction. Moisture gathers or thins. Dawn doesn't arrive suddenly. It's been forming all night, step by step, without asking for attention. The day sets itself up gently, guided by patterns that don't require planning or thought. There's relief in knowing that tomorrow doesn't need your effort to begin. It will arrive, whether you watch it or not, because this preparation follows familiar rhythms. Days often echo one another. The daily weather cycle repeats reliably, like a song the sky enjoys replaying. Morning warmth builds, afternoon motion stirs, evening cools, and night settles again. The sky likes repetition. These cycles don't feel boring. They feel reassuring. Routine becomes comfort. Familiarity becomes trust. Each day fits into a pattern that's been practiced countless times before. And through all of this, nothing needs managing right now. The atmosphere doesn't need supervision. Weather systems operate independently, like a machine that runs best when ignored. The sky is capable. It adjusts pressure, redistributes heat, moves clouds, and balances itself without instruction. You don't need to monitor it. You don't need to stay alert. Letting go of responsibility is part of rest, and the world is perfectly fine with that. Even the earth rests. Nighttime stillness isn't a pause or a failure. It's part of the planet's rhythm. Sleep belongs to the planet as much as wakefulness does. The world closes its eyes for a while, slowing motion, dimming light, lowering sound. When you rest, you're not stepping away from nature. You're joining it. This quiet participation completes the cycle, allowing everything to continue exactly as it should. And now, there's nothing more you need to listen for. The sky will keep doing what it does, whether these words fade away or drift into your dreams. Weather will pass outside sleeping houses. Air will move softly through the dark. Somewhere beyond this moment, morning is waiting patiently, but it doesn't need you yet. Thank you for spending this quiet time here, sharing the night beneath the same sky. There's no expectation that you heard everything or anything at all. If sleep has already arrived, that's perfect. If it's close, that's just as good. You don't need to decide. Rest can come whenever it's ready. The atmosphere will continue breathing through the night. Clouds will form or fade. Temperatures will rise and fall gently. All of it will happen without effort, without urgency, without asking for attention. You are safe inside these patterns, surrounded by rhythms that have carried life for longer than memory. If you ever find yourself needing this calm again, this space will be here. Another quiet night, another slow journey. But for now, there's nothing to return to, nothing to respond to, nothing to finish. Let the voice become part of the background, like distant weather you don't need to check on. Let the room feel still. Let your body follow the same easing motion the world is following. The sky is breathing. The weather is moving. And you are resting inside it.